I'm going to talk very briefly tonight, and we're going to do a long meditation. So, when I say long meditation, I mean longer than you usually meditate for. And if you were in the dojo, the meditation tonight would only be a half an hour, 45 minutes. And for some of you, that's just your normal daily meditation, right? But I want you to push it. And some of you have heard me talk about I've had some really wonderful, memorable long meditations and some very terrible, memorable long meditations. When I was testing for my Red Sash test with Sifu Brown, it was a 2-hour long meditation, and I had prepared. My nature is not to prepare. I'm not a planner. I love to just fly by the seat of my pants and let everything happen the way that it happens. But with tests in the dojo and my martial arts kind of career, I have been a over planner and over preparer. And it's nice because it gives me the opportunity to do that, which is, I think, opposite for a lot of people. Most people are like, I need to meditate so that I can stop stressing and stop planning and doing all that stuff. Well, when I'm meditating, I'm not doing that. But in the lead up to a test or in the lead up to a long meditation, I'm preparing for it. So for this particular test, it's a 2-hour long meditation, and you have to sit totally still. And I had never meditated for 2 hours before I was invited to the test, so I thought I better do this. But I'm not just going to meditate for 2 hours, I'm going to meditate for longer than 2 hours. So I had at this time this beanbag chair. It was a very comfortable thing to sit on. It was filled with those little foam beans, and I could sit for 2 hours like kind of easily. And not the mental side of it. Obviously, meditation is always challenging, but the physical act of sitting for 2 hours, I could do it. And so I brought my beanbag chair into the dojo in order to meditate in the same way that I have been. And I sit down, and the first few minutes, I'm feeling really good. I'm just like in a rock solid position. My mind is focused. I'm in that test meditation zone, which is like nothing's gonna move me. I'm gonna just be like, perfect. I'm gonna hit enlightenment during this meditation, and then it quickly turns into, I better not move at all and get a little bit stressed out about that. And then I had this unfortunate event that happened, which if you have meditated for a long period of time, you have probably experienced this event, which is my body started to scream at me, stop meditating. And the way that it happened in this case was my knees had just like settled in a way that was incredibly painful for my hips. And I felt that there was so much pain in my hip that if I didn't like stand up and pop my hip, I actually thought that I was gonna vomit from the pain. And I had convinced myself during that meditation that I was gonna fail. I thought, this is so painful, I'm gonna throw up and I'm gonna fail the test. Well, that was the last hour or so of the meditation, was just me sitting there and thinking, don't move, you can't move right now. That is not an ideal place to be in your long meditation, physically or mentally. It's not really meditating at that point. It was just me gutting it out. And I did it. Sifu Brown came in and stopped the meditation at the end. And he said, Moktoya Me, and I jumped off of the bag and was writhing in pain on the mats in the dojo. And he came around and asked us, did you move? Did you move? He asked me, did you move? And I said, no, sir. And he said, how was your meditation? I said, it was the worst experience of my life. It was awful, truly awful. And that's not what long meditation should be like. So first of all, I don't necessarily think you need to do baby steps, because some of you are gonna go a little bit too slowly for this, but do your meditations in a way that is responsible for you and in a way that you know is going to last. So it's not like I go from meditating for 10 minutes, which is kind of tough, to I'm going to sit for an hour and just gut it out. Well, you might do that and think, I'll never be able to do this. I quit, I give up. And we definitely don't want that. So try to, slowly build up your physical tolerance as well as your mental tolerance and your emotional tolerance for a longer meditation, but try to get there. If you look at meditation and the benefit that it's going to have for you, there is a huge benefit in doing shorter meditations every day and dispersed throughout the day. The more often you can bring your mind back to this meditative state, the better. And there is a very strong, different kind of benefit to just sitting and being totally absorbed in this meditative state for a long period of time in one shot. So you should do both. I like to do a long meditation once a week and then do shorter meditations. For me, a shorter meditation is like a half an hour at a time throughout the week. But for you, find out what that is and make sure that you are practicing in a way that's sustainable. Not like I'm just going to do it and then quit because it's too hard for me. I asked one of the staff before class, because I knew that I was going to talk about long meditation, but I hadn't decided any specifics about this. I said, what should I talk about? She said, can you talk about the spiral? And I was like, what do you mean? She said, oh, this thing where life seems to go in a circle, and our experience of meditation oftentimes goes like this. Like sometimes, and you can look at it this way, but you can also think of it this way. It's like, I'm really good at meditating. Oh, I'm terrible at meditating. And it can kind of feel like it's going in this cycle, and kind of like you're spinning your wheels. And if you look at it from a certain perspective, it looks like this. But the reality is you want to flip it and see that you're actually going in a spiral. So you're spiraling up. You are getting better. You're improving. And even though your experience and the story that you might be telling yourself about your meditation practice or your martial arts or your life, even though your experience might feel like I'm just, I'm cycling through this. It just feels like I keep ending up at the same place and I'm repeating the same things. If you are able to flip it sideways and look at it, you're recognizing that you're getting better. You're making improvements. You're spiraling up. And life has these rhythms to it. Right? And your meditation has rhythms to it. Maybe even within one long meditation, you're going to have ups and downs, and you're going to kind of cycle through this. But recognize that this is, you're getting in. Some of you guys may have traveled. I'm very lucky. I've gotten to travel a decent amount, and I traveled to Barcelona once. I'm going to say that correctly, and then never again. And I got to visit the Sagrada Familia, which is a beautiful, old and new cathedral that was designed by Gaudi, and they're still building it. It's been being built for like 100 years or something. And it's amazing. It's got these incredibly tall spires, and you can climb up to the top on these spiral staircase. And you start and you're like, you look at the top and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And you start going, and I'm like walking up the stairs, and I'm like, this is great. Like, I'm really getting the workout. This is nice. And then I do, and then I go again, and I'm like, well, this seems like it's been going on for a very long time. and you start to feel like you're really just going in circles and circles. And it's like, is there an end to it at all? And there were many times where I thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to make it to the top of this thing. And intellectually, I understood that it was impossible for me to be going upstairs and actually just spinning around. But my experience of it was, I'm just spinning. And I kept telling myself, well, you know that you're going upstairs. You know that you're actually, getting higher, and you know that you will eventually get to the top. And sure enough, I did. It took many many times, many times of doing this before eventually getting to the top. And you get up to the top of this thing, and it's a very small window. It's like yay big, and you look through it, and you're up like, I don't know, hundreds of feet, looking over the rooftops of beautiful Barcelona. And it was a very incredible experience. The climb was most of the experience, and the view from the top was also a really nice part of the experience. But it's kind of like what I was talking about, I think last week. Without the climb, the view from the top is like, you can take out your cell phone and Google the view from the top of the spires of Sagrada Familia. But if you have climbed the stairs and reached the top of your own, power and your own will, it's a very different experience when you're up there. And then you get to go all the way down, which is easier, even though it hurts your knees a little bit. This is what our practice and our meditation can feel like oftentimes, right? We're spiraling, but our experience is not really that we are going up. Our experience is we're just spinning around and around and around. But we have to sometimes just engage the intellect and remind ourselves that we are getting better. It's actually impossible to sit regularly for meditation, for long meditation or short meditation, and earnestly focus the mind and give that real effort. It's impossible to do that with regularity and not be making progress. It is very possible and very likely that you will experience as if your experience will be like you're not making progress, and your experience will be like you're spinning, but it is happening that you are making improvement. You're spiraling up. So as you sit tonight and in the future for your meditations, be they short or long meditations, remind yourself of that. I am getting better. Even though today I feel like this is a kind of a garbage meditation, even though sometimes I feel like I just can't, free my mind from these thoughts. Let that thought go. That's just an extra thought. That's just your ego trying to keep you dragged down. And the important thing is to get on the stairs and start climbing. So many people, they walk up to the Sagrada Familia, and maybe they'll kind of go in and look around the ground floor, and then they'll look up at those towers and they say, I think I got like a lunch appointment that I got to get to. I'm pretty sure I'm too old for this. You got to just get on the stairs and start climbing, and the spiraling will happen. Sometimes, despite our best efforts to keep ourselves from improving, we will. And just showing up and sitting is that act of getting on the stairs and starting that gradual, guaranteed ascension. So sit comfortable.